Don't forget your rent transfer tomorrow, Helen, my daughter-in-law said as she passed the cranberry sauce across my own Thanksgiving table. For a moment, I honestly thought I had misheard her. The dining room did not fall completely silent. It only changed. That was worse. The clink of forks softened. The children stopped shifting in their chairs. My grandson lowered his eyes to his mashed potatoes. My granddaughter Emily reached for her iced tea without looking up. And my son Jason, my only child, sat beside his wife with his jaw tight, cutting a piece of turkey he had already cut 3 times. My hand paused above the china plate I had used every Thanksgiving for nearly 40 years. My what? I asked. Vanessa blinked at me as though I had made the room uncomfortable. The rent, she said lightly. The transfer usually goes through on the 25th, right? I just didn't want you forgetting again. Property taxes went up this year.
Ich starrte her.
Rent. In my own home. I am glad you are here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you are watching from. I want to know how far this story reaches, because what happened to me did not begin with one sentence at Thanksgiving. It began quietly. With forms. With favors. With polite smiles. With the kind of family betrayal that happens so slowly. You do not realize your own life is being taken apart until someone casually asks you to pay rent at your own dining room table. The house on Maple Creek Road was not just a house to me. It was Harold's hands on raw lumber in the spring of 1987. It was Jason running through half-finished rooms in sneakers muddy from the yard. It was me choosing blue shutters because Harold said the color made the place look happy. It was 39 Christmas mornings, every rose bush in the front yard, every scratch on the kitchen floor, every creak in the second stair from the bottom. It was where I had buried my youth inside love. And now my daughter-in-law had said rent. Vanessa, I said carefully, I think there's been some confusion. Jason finally spoke. Mom, he muttered, still not looking at me. Let's just not do this during dinner. Something cold moved through my chest. Not anger. Not yet. Something heavier. I looked around the table again. Nobody seemed surprised. Nobody asked what Vanessa meant. Nobody laughed awkwardly and corrected her. Emily folded her napkin into tiny squares. Tyler pushed peas around with his fork. They already knew. I folded my hands in my lap because I could feel the tremble beginning in my fingers. How long? I asked quietly. Have I been paying rent? Vanessa sighed the way tired mothers sigh at difficult children. Helen, please. We've explained this before. Ever since Jason and I took over managing the property expenses after Harold passed away. Harold. Even hearing his name in her mouth made my stomach tighten. Harold Whitmore had loved this house almost as much as he loved me. Every spring he used to stand in the backyard with dirt on his jeans and say, "Nobody will ever make you feel unwelcome here, sweetheart." I believed him. Jason lifted his eyes toward me for 1 second. I saw guilt there. Real guilt. Then it disappeared under exhaustion. Mom, he said, Vanessa handles the financial stuff now. It's simpler that way. Simpler. Nothing about the past 2 years had been simple. Not after Harold's funeral. Not after Vanessa insisted on helping me organize paperwork, while I was still taking medication just to sleep through the night. Not after she started collecting the mail before I woke up. Not after passwords changed, drawers were rearranged, furniture was replaced, and my home slowly became a place where I felt like a guest asking permission to exist. Vanessa reached for her wine glass. Anyway, she said brightly, let's not ruin Thanksgiving talking about finances. I looked at her, then at Jason. My son could not meet my eyes. Outside the dining room windows, snow had started falling over the backyard Harold once tended himself. The porch light glowed warm and golden against the Connecticut evening. But for the first time in nearly 40 years I understood something terrifying. I no longer knew what belonged to me inside that house. And deep down, I had the sinking feeling that whatever had been happening behind my back had started long before tonight. I barely slept that night. After dinner, Vanessa loaded the dishwasher while humming softly, as if nothing unusual had happened. Jason carried leftovers into the refrigerator and said almost nothing. By 9:30, everyone had disappeared upstairs. I sat alone in Harold's old recliner with a blanket folded over my lap. The television glowed in the corner, but I did not hear a word from it. Above me, footsteps moved across the second floor. Jason's. Vanessa's. The children's. Their footsteps. Not mine. Somewhere along the way, I had stopped sounding like the owner of my own home. Around midnight, I walked through the downstairs rooms turning off lights one by one. The kitchen looked different now. Vanessa had painted the cabinets pale gray 6 months after moving in. She replaced my copper cookware with white ceramic sets that looked beautiful but chipped easily. Even the smell of the house had changed. It no longer smelled like cinnamon candles and coffee brewing early. It smelled faintly of expensive cleaning products and the vanilla spray Vanessa misted through the vents every Friday afternoon. I stopped near the staircase. The family photo wall was different too. Half the pictures were gone. Vanessa had replaced several framed photographs of Harold and me with professional portraits of her children. I stared at an empty nail where my favorite picture used to hang. Harold holding my hand on Cape Cod 20 years ago. My hair blowing across my face. His smile wide and easy. I had asked Vanessa where it went. The frame looked outdated, she said. I packed it somewhere safe. Somewhere safe. I never saw it again. The next morning I woke at 6:15 the way I always had. Harold used to joke that I had an internal alarm stronger than any clock sold in stores. I slipped on my robe and went downstairs expecting the old quiet comfort of morning. Instead I found a type note taped to the coffee maker. Please rinse cups before placing in sink. Maintenance matters. Vanessa. I stood there holding the note. Maintenance matters. As if I were a tenant in a small apartment. As if I had not chosen every floorboard in that kitchen myself. I opened the cabinet for my favorite mug and realized all my mugs had been moved to the highest shelf. Vanessa's matching mugs were arranged neatly at eye level. Small things. That was how it happened. Not one cruel act dramatic enough to point at directly. Just hundreds of tiny rearrangements that slowly erased me from my own life. Later that afternoon, I decided to look through the mail before Vanessa returned from shopping. The stack sat on the hallway table. But when I picked it up, several envelopes were already open. One white envelope near the bottom had my bank's logo. Before I could read it, the front door opened. Vanessa walked in carrying shopping bags from Westport Plaza. Her expression changed the moment she saw the envelope in my hand. Oh, she said quickly. That's just another property statement. I was already handling it. Handling it. Always handling it. I looked down at the envelope again. Beneath my address in black print were the words. Account classification. Residential tenant payment processing. Tenant. The word sat there like a stain. That evening, Vanessa cooked salmon with roasted asparagus. Soft jazz played through the kitchen speakers. Jason answered work emails at the counter. Vanessa acted normal. She even smiled when she asked whether I wanted more iced tea. I watched her carefully. The calmness. The confidence. The complete absence of guilt. Around 8, Jason stepped outside for a phone call. The moment the back door closed, Vanessa stood and began stacking plates. You should probably avoid going through financial mail, she said lightly. It creates unnecessary stress at your age. I have managed finances since before you graduated college, I said. She gave a small laugh. And now you don't have to. That's the point. The faucet ran. Dishes clinked. Why does the bank classify me as a tenant? I asked. The water kept running for several seconds. Then she turned it off. Because it's easier for accounting purposes. Accounting for what? The property expenses. This house was paid off 15 years ago. That made her pause. Only for a second. But I noticed. The following Monday, Vanessa left early for Pilates in Stamford. Jason drove into the city before sunrise. By 8 o'clock, the house was quiet. Real quiet. The kind I used to love before silence started feeling lonely. I stood in the kitchen holding my coffee mug while pale winter light stretched across the hardwood floors. Harold installed himself. For a long time, I listened to the refrigerator hum and the wind brush against the porch railings. Then I went upstairs to our old bedroom. I still thought of it as ours, even though Vanessa had changed half of it. Harold's navy reading chair was gone. So was the cedar chest at the foot of the bed where he kept baseball tickets and handwritten anniversary cards. Vanessa said the room needed better balance. I opened the closet and reached toward the back corner where Harold used to keep a small metal lockbox on the top shelf. It was still there beneath extra blankets. Dust covered the lid. My hands trembled as I carried it to the bed. Harold had always handled major paperwork. Not because I could not, because he enjoyed order in a way I never did. Taxes, insurance, property records, everything filed in labeled folders with neat handwriting. If anything happens to me, he used to say, you'll still be able to find the water heater warranty 20 years from now. Back then I laughed. I did not laugh now. The key was taped beneath the bottom drawer of his old nightstand, exactly where he always hid it. When the lock clicked open, the smell of old paper and cedar drifted upward. Inside were folders, envelopes, savings bonds, and a thick document stamped, Property Trust. I sat down slowly. Outside, snowflakes moved past the bedroom window in quiet spirals. I opened the trust. Harold Whitmore Living Property Trust. Beneficiary, Helen Whitmore. Lifetime residential protection guaranteed. The words blurred. Guaranteed. Harold had protected me. He had made sure this house would remain mine while I was alive. So why was I paying rent? I kept reading. Several pages later, another document slipped loose and fell onto the comforter. A transfer authorization form. My signature was at the bottom, but it looked wrong. Shaky. Uneven. Not like the steady handwriting I had used my entire adult life. The date was 3 weeks. After Harold's funeral. My chest tightened. During those weeks I barely remembered anything clearly. I slept 2 hours a night. Friends brought casseroles I never ate. Vanessa answered phone calls because I could not stop crying long enough to speak. I remembered her sitting beside me at the bedroom desk with a stack of forms. Routine paperwork, she told me softly. Insurance updates. Bank adjustments. Nothing stressful. I signed wherever she pointed. I never read a page. Another memory surfaced. 2 months after the funeral, I asked Jason why my banking summaries had stopped arriving by mail. Vanessa switched everything to paperless, he said without looking up from his phone. To make life easier. Easier. Always easier. I lowered the papers into my lap. This was never confusion. Never simplification. Someone had carefully rearranged my financial life while I was grieving too deeply to notice. For the next 3 days I pretended nothing had changed. I drank coffee with Vanessa in the morning, while she discussed grocery deliveries. I nodded when Jason complained about traffic on Interstate 95. I sat beside them Friday night, while they watched a home renovation show in the living room Harold once filled with jazz records and baseball games. But beneath my quiet routine, something inside me had become painfully alert. Every word mattered. Every locked drawer. Every missing envelope. Saturday morning, Vanessa took the children Christmas shopping. Jason left for golf in Greenwich. The moment both cars disappeared, I put on my wool coat and drove downtown. The county records office sat in an old brick building near Main Street. A clerk with reading glasses on a silver chain greeted me kindly. I need property records for my home, I said. A few minutes later, she handed me printed pages stapled together. The deed still listed Harold and me under the family trust. But attached behind it was a filing dated 18 months earlier. Residential Management Authorization Agreement. Vanessa Whitmore had created a limited liability company.
VTV Residential Holdings.
The company had authority to oversee resident financial obligations connected to the property. Resident. Not homeowner. Resident. Then I saw another line. Monthly occupancy contribution authorized through automated transfer. Occupancy contribution. A polished phrase. But I knew what it meant. Rent. They had simply renamed it enough times to hide it. Outside the courthouse windows, people hurried along the sidewalk with coffee cups and shopping bags. Ordinary lives. Ordinary Saturday. Meanwhile, I sat there discovering that my son and his wife had turned me into a paying occupant inside the house Harold built for us. My phone rang. Claire Benson. My next-door neighbor of nearly 20 years. Helen, sweetheart, she said. I saw your car leave earlier. Is everything all right? I leaned against my car door. I'm beginning to think I missed something important these past 2 years. Silence lingered. Then Claire exhaled. Helen, she said carefully, there's something I should have told you a long time ago. My grip tightened. What kind of something? About a year ago, Vanessa and I ran into each other at the garden center near Milford. She joked that you were easier to manage than she expected. My heartbeat slowed. Manage? Claire lowered her voice. She laughed and said you didn't even realize you were paying them to stay in the house. I closed my eyes. The winter wind touched my face. Not confusion. Not misunderstanding. They had known exactly what they were doing. That evening I returned home before sunset. The Christmas wreath Vanessa ordered online hung on the front door. Perfectly centered. Perfectly artificial. Through the window, warm yellow light glowed from the kitchen. Holiday music drifted softly through the house. Anyone passing by would have thought we were a happy family preparing for Christmas. I stood on the porch longer than necessary. Then I walked inside. Vanessa was arranging decorative candles on the dining table. There you are, she said brightly. I was wondering where you went. I removed my gloves slowly. Downtown. Oh. Her eyes lingered on my face. Shopping. Something like that. For a second, I saw concern behind her expression. Not guilt. Fear. Small. Controlled. Then Jason entered from the den with his laptop under one arm. Mom, he said casually, did you stop by the bank today? The question came too quickly. Why would you ask that? He shrugged. Vanessa got an automatic fraud alert from the account system. Large information requests sometimes trigger reviews. The account system. As if my finances belonged to a company department. Interesting, I said. Jason shifted. Mom, nobody's trying to upset you. We've just been handling things in the most practical way possible. Practical. Such a clean word for betrayal. We moved into the kitchen. Vanessa poured sparkling water into one of the crystal glasses Harold gave me on our 25th anniversary. Honestly, Helen, she said, this arrangement protects you. You don't have to worry about taxes, upkeep, legal exposure. Most people your age are grateful when family steps in. Most people your age. I looked at her across the marble island she convinced Jason to install after Harold died. I could see the pattern now. Paperwork. Hidden statements. Changed language. Resident. Tenant. Contribution. Management. They had not just taken money. They had reduced me into someone temporary. Jason opened the refrigerator. You know how complicated estates can become, he said. Vanessa has spent years organizing everything. Years. He said it without realizing what he admitted. Until then, part of me still wanted to believe Jason had simply trusted the wrong woman. That he avoided details because grief had made him weak. But now I understood. He knew. Maybe not every signature. Maybe not every transfer. But enough. Enough to stay silent while his wife transformed his widowed mother into a tenant. I sat at the kitchen table. Did Dad know? I asked. Jason froze. Vanessa answered first. Harold trusted Jason completely. That wasn't what I asked. Silence stretched across the kitchen. Jason lowered his eyes. Dad worried you'd struggle managing everything alone, he said. He wanted us to take care of you. Take care of me. I almost smiled. There is a kind of betrayal that happens politely. No shouting. No cruelty loud enough for outsiders to notice. Just paperwork. Quiet meetings. Smiles over dinner. And little by little, your life gets transferred out from under you while everyone insists it is for your own good. That night, I sat in bed with Harold's trust papers spread across my lap. The house creaked around me. The heating system clicked on. A pipe knocked somewhere inside the wall the way it always did when the temperature dropped below freezing. I remembered Harold lying beside me, complaining about that pipe every winter but never fixing it because he said the sound made the house feel alive. I touched his side of the bed. Cold now. Empty. I whispered, you tried to protect me. The words disappeared into the room. For the first time since his funeral, I did not cry because I missed him. I cried because I realized how carefully he had loved me. And how carelessly our son had let that love be used against me. The next Tuesday morning, Vanessa knocked lightly on my bedroom door just after 7. Helen, she called sweetly. Can I come in? I was sitting near the window with Harold's trust paperwork, hidden beneath sweaters inside my dresser. Of course. Vanessa entered carrying her tablet and a ceramic mug that read merry and bright. Her smile looked practiced. I wanted to let you know something before the end of the month, she said, sitting in Harold's old chair beside the window. The property taxes increased again, and insurance premiums are rising too. I said nothing. She crossed one leg neatly over the other. So your monthly contribution will need to increase in January. There it was. So simple. So businesslike. As if she were discussing cable service. How much? I asked. She glanced at her tablet. An additional $900 per month should cover the adjustment. $900. My chest tightened but my face stayed still. Jason and I have absorbed so much financially, she continued. We're just trying to make things sustainable for everyone. Sustainable. I looked out the window at the backyard garden Harold built for me on our 30th anniversary. Raised flower beds because arthritis had made kneeling painful. You shouldn't have to hurt yourself gardening anymore, he told me then. And if I refuse? I asked. Vanessa's expression shifted almost invisibly. Her smile stayed. Her eyes cooled. I don't think refusing would be wise. The room became very still. Somewhere downstairs the washing machine hummed. Jason knows about this increase? Of course, she said too quickly. We make all major household decisions together. Household decisions. Again, neutral words covering ugly intentions. Vanessa stood. I know these conversations can feel emotional, she said gently. But this arrangement protects everyone involved. Then she left. I stayed by the window long after she disappeared. Emotional. That was what they called it whenever I questioned anything. Not valid. Not reasonable. Emotional. By noon, I drove to the local bank branch Harold and I had used for more than 30 years. A young banker named Melissa led me into a private office after I explained I needed to review recurring transfers. 20 minutes later, she turned the monitor toward me. Every month, $2,800 transferred automatically to VW Residential Holdings. Sometimes more. Nearly $70,000 over 2 years. Would you like to continue these scheduled payments? Melissa asked gently. I stared at the screen. Then for the first time since Harold died, my own voice sounded steady. No, I said. I believe it's time to stop paying rent in my own house. Melissa paused. Her professional expression softened. I can cancel the authorization today. Please do. She typed quietly. That small sound, the tapping of keys, felt larger than it should have. Not loud. Not dramatic. But final. When I returned home, Vanessa was in the kitchen labeling glass containers in the pantry. Everything okay? She asked. Yes, I said. She looked at me for a second too long, then smiled. Good. I walked upstairs without another word. My hands did not tremble. That frightened me a little, because I had spent most of my life believing calm meant forgiveness. Now I understood calm could also mean decision. 3 days later, the automatic transfer failed. I knew exactly when Vanessa noticed. She came into the kitchen that afternoon moving faster than usual. Cabinet doors opened harder. Silverware clinked too sharply. She checked her phone twice, then placed it face down on the counter. By dinner, the tension in the house felt thick. Jason arrived after 6 and looked at Vanessa before greeting me. That told me everything. They had already discussed it. We sat beneath the chandelier Harold installed one Christmas after surprising me with it wrapped in a giant red bow. Vanessa barely touched her food. Halfway through dinner, she set down her fork carefully. Helen, she said, there seems to have been an issue with this month's transfer. I folded my napkin in my lap. Was there? Jason exhaled. The payment was declined, Vanessa said. I know. Silence spread across the table. Even the children stopped eating. You stopped the transfer intentionally? She asked. Yes. Jason leaned back. Mom, that creates complications. Being charged rent in my own home also creates complications. Vanessa straightened. That is not what this arrangement is. Then explain it again. My voice remained soft, quiet enough that everyone had to listen. Vanessa glanced at Jason. You contribute toward property management and household operations. As the homeowner? Her jaw tightened. As a resident under the family management structure we established after Harold's passing. Resident. Not owner. Never owner. I reached beside my chair and lifted a manila folder onto the table. Jason's expression changed instantly. I opened it. The trust agreement. The county filings. The transfer history. Vanessa's face lost color. "Where did you get those?" she asked. "From records that should have belonged to me all along." Jason rubbed his forehead. "Mom, listen. This isn't what you think." "Then tell me what it is." Nobody answered. Outside, snow drifted through the darkness. From the living room speaker, Christmas music played faintly. Silent night. I almost laughed. Emily looked between her parents and me. "Grandma," she whispered, "you pay money to live here?" Vanessa answered too quickly. "Emily, this is an adult financial conversation." But the damage had been done. Children hear truth differently. To adults, it becomes paperwork, structures, management. To a child, it sounded exactly like what it was. Jason leaned forward. "Mom, we never wanted to hurt you." I believed that. Oddly enough, I did. Because some people do harm without wanting to see themselves as harmful. They build little explanations around each selfish choice until the cruelty looks practical. Vanessa's eyes stayed on the documents. "You should have talked to us before interfering with the account," she said coldly. Interfering. I looked at her. This woman had reorganized my kitchen, removed my photographs, redirected my mail, collected money from me every month while calling it protection. "No," I said quietly. "I should have stopped trusting you much sooner." Tyler stared at his plate. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Jason looked ashamed. Vanessa looked angry. And I realized something. The truth does not always explode. Sometimes it simply sits on the table between the cranberry dish and the water glasses until everyone has to decide whether they will keep pretending not to see it. The days after that dinner became very quiet. Not peaceful. Quiet in the way a house becomes after something breaks and nobody knows where to put the pieces. Vanessa stopped speaking to me unless necessary. Jason stayed at work longer. The children moved carefully through rooms, as if loud footsteps might start another argument. I did not confront anyone again immediately. That was not my way. Instead, I began collecting bank statements, old mail, emails I could still access, copies of forms, notes I had never thought mattered. I found a medication bottle from the months after Harold died, still half full beneath the bathroom sink. The label made my stomach tighten. I remembered those weeks in fragments. Funeral flowers wilting on the dining table, sympathy cards stacked unopened, Vanessa's voice saying, "Just sign here, Helen. I'll take care of the rest." I had been exhausted. Not foolish. Grief had made the world blurry. They had used that blur. One afternoon, Claire came over with a casserole even though I told her not to trouble herself. She stood in the kitchen doorway and looked around. "It feels different in here," she said. "Does it?" She nodded toward the pantry. "Less like a catalog." That made me laugh for the first time in days. A small laugh. Almost rusty. We sat at the kitchen table with coffee. Claire reached across and touched my hand. "I should have told you sooner. You were trying not to interfere." I was trying not to admit what I heard. I looked down at our hands. She really said I didn't know I was paying them? Claire's eyes filled with shame. Yes. The words still hurt. Not because of the money. Because Vanessa had made a joke out of my confusion. Because my own home had become a private comedy to someone I had welcomed into my family. That evening, Jason came home alone. Vanessa had taken the children to her sister's house. He stood in the kitchen holding his keys. "Can we talk?" I was washing a mug. "You can talk." He sat down slowly. "Mom, Vanessa thought she was helping." I turned off the faucet. "No, Jason. Helping is bringing groceries when someone is sick. Helping is changing a light bulb. Helping is sitting with your mother after she buries her husband." He looked down. Taking control of her bank account and charging her rent is something else. His eyes reddened. I didn't understand all the details. But you understood enough. That landed. He flinched. I dried my hands on a dish towel. "When your father died, I lost the person who knew every version of me. The young woman I was. The mother I became. The wife who forgot where she put her glasses and burned toast when she was distracted." Jason smiled faintly, painfully. He loved that about you. Yes, I said. And while I was trying to survive losing him, you let your wife teach me that I could no longer trust my own memory. He covered his face.
I'm sorry.
I believed he was. But sorry did not return 2 years. Sorry did not unopen mail. Sorry did not put Harold's picture back on the wall. I have hired an attorney, I said. His head lifted. Mom, I am not asking your permission. He swallowed. What happens now? I find out everything. And after that? I looked toward the dark window. After that, we stop pretending this family is fine. My attorney's name was Margaret Ellis. She was in her 70s, with silver hair cut neatly at her chin and reading glasses she wore low on her nose. Her office smelled faintly of paper, lemon furniture polish and old coffee. I liked her immediately. She did not rush me. She did not call me dear. She listened. When I finished explaining, she sat quietly for several seconds. Then she said, Mrs. Whitmore, I need to be very clear. This is serious. I nodded. I know. No, she said gently. I mean legally serious. The word legally should have comforted me. Instead it made me tired. Because once betrayal becomes legal, it loses none of its pain. It only gains paperwork. Margaret reviewed Harold's trust. He was careful, she said. He always was. He gave you lifetime residential protection. He also limited third-party management unless you gave informed consent. Informed consent, I repeated. Signing while grieving and medicated may raise questions. I looked at my hands. They looked older in that office light. Spotted. Thin-skinned. Hands that had packed school lunches, wiped feverish foreheads, held Harold's hand during chemo appointments, written checks for Jason's college books when money was tight. Hands that had signed away control without knowing. Margaret's voice softened. We will request a complete accounting. And if they refuse, they won't enjoy that choice. I almost smiled. Over the next weeks, letters were sent. Formal requests. Bank authorizations. Copies of LLC filings. Jason came by twice, looking thinner each time. Vanessa did not come at all. Then the pressure started. A voicemail from Jason. Mom, attorneys will only make this worse. A text from Vanessa. I hope you understand how damaging this is for the children. That one made me sit down. Damaging for the children. Not damaging when they heard their grandmother was paying rent. Not damaging when they watched adults lie across a Thanksgiving table. Only damaging when I refused silence. I did not reply. A week later, Emily came over after school. Jason dropped her off and stayed in the car. She walked into the kitchen carrying her backpack. Dad said I could visit for an hour. I made hot chocolate. She sat quietly at the table. Finally she asked, Grandma, are you mad at me? The question broke something small inside. Me. I sat across from her. No, sweetheart. Never. Mom says grown-up money problems are complicated. They can be. She said you're confused. I looked at her face. 14 years old. Old enough to notice. Young enough to be made afraid of noticing. I was confused, I said carefully. For a while. But not anymore. Emily stared into her mug. Did Grandpa want you to live here? Yes. Then why did Mom say it was Dad's house now? There it was. The sentence Vanessa had planted. I reached across and took Emily's hand. Sometimes adults tell themselves a story that makes what they want feel fair. She nodded slowly. Is that lying? I looked toward the staircase where Harold's photo still had not returned. Sometimes, I said, it is worse. Sometimes it is lying to yourself first. The accounting arrived in late January. Margaret called me into her office on a Thursday morning. Rain streaked the windows. The roads were gray with slush. She placed a stack of papers on the desk between us. I want you to prepare yourself, she said. That is never a sentence that brings good news. The transfers were worse than I knew.
Monthly payments to V2V residential holdings.
Additional charges labeled maintenance reserve. Administrative fees. Consultation costs. Household management reimbursement. Some payments moved from my account to Vanessa's company, then into a joint account she shared with Jason. Some paid for legitimate bills, taxes, insurance, utilities, but much of it did not. a designer lighting invoice, a furniture deposit, a country club charge, a private school fundraiser contribution listed as community household expense. I sat very still. Margaret watched me. Do you need a moment? No, I said. But I did. I needed many moments. I needed to go back 2 years and stop my hand before it signed. I needed Harold beside me. I needed my son to have looked at me once and said, "Mom, are you sure you understand this?" But life does not return moments because we finally know what they meant. Margaret tapped one page. There is also the signature issue. She slid over the transfer authorization. Beside it was a copy of my driver's license signature from years earlier. Even to my untrained eye, they did not match. Could grief explain the difference? I asked. It might explain shakiness, Margaret said. Not structural differences. My mouth went dry. Are you saying someone signed for me? I am saying we will ask that question formally. That night I sat alone in the kitchen. Cold dinner sat untouched beside me. Chicken soup from a can. Harold used to hate canned soup. He always said it tasted like apology. I smiled at the memory, then covered my mouth because the smile hurt. At 8:30 Jason came in without knocking. He still had his key. I looked at him. You need to start knocking. He stopped near the doorway. Right. Sorry. He looked around the kitchen, noticing the folder on the table. Margaret sent the accounting, I said. His face changed. He knew. That was the terrible part. Not everything, but enough. Mom, did you know my money paid for the dining room chairs Vanessa ordered from New York? He closed his eyes. She said the house needed updates. Did you know she charged a management fee? She handled everything. Did you know my account paid for your country club dues? His face went pale. That was temporary. I meant to pay it back. The room went silent. There it was. A confession dressed as an excuse. I leaned back in my chair. You meant to pay back money you never had permission to take. Jason sat down heavily. I was under pressure. We all are. My business had a bad year. Vanessa kept saying Dad would have wanted the family stable. Your father would have sold his own coat before taking money from me behind my back. Jason lowered his head. For a long time neither of us spoke. Then he whispered, I don't know how we got here. I did. One rationalization at a time. By February the house felt completely different. Quieter. Not peaceful yet. Just tired. Vanessa stopped coming downstairs when I was in the kitchen. Jason spent more nights away. The children visited carefully, as though the house itself had rules nobody had explained to them. 2 weeks after Christmas, Margaret formally challenged the management arrangement and requested full recovery of unauthorized transfers. Vanessa called it a misunderstanding. Her attorney called it administrative miscommunication. But paperwork leaves trails. Trails tell stories people can no longer control, especially when signatures do not match. Especially when money moves through family accounts disguised as contributions. One Saturday morning, Vanessa confronted me in the hallway. She looked immaculate as always. Cream sweater, gold earrings, hair perfectly curled. But her eyes were tired. You're destroying this family, she said. I held a laundry basket against my hip. No, Vanessa. I am refusing to be destroyed quietly. Her mouth tightened. You have no idea how much I've done for this house. I know exactly how much you charged me for it. She stepped closer. You were overwhelmed. Jason was overwhelmed. Someone had to make decisions. You made decisions that benefited you. Her face flushed. You think you're innocent? You sat in this house for years while everyone else carried responsibility. I looked at her for a long moment. There was the truth beneath her politeness. Resentment. Not because I had harmed her. Because I existed in a place she wanted. You wanted the house, I said. She laughed once sharply. I wanted order. No, I said. You wanted ownership without waiting for grief to finish. That struck her. For the first time she looked genuinely angry. You don't know what it's like to marry into a family where everything already belongs to the dead. I almost felt sorry for her then. Almost. Because beneath all her control was insecurity. She had walked into a house full of another woman's history, and decided the only way to belong was to erase me. But understanding someone's wound does not excuse what they do with it. This house was full of Harold, I said. You could have added yourself gently. Instead, you tried to remove me. She looked away. Down the hall, Emily stood frozen near the stairs. Vanessa saw her. Her expression changed instantly. Emily, she said softly. Emily did not move. Did you really take Grandma's money? She asked. Vanessa's face broke for 1 second, then hardened. Go upstairs. Emily turned and ran. The sound of her footsteps hurt more than Vanessa's words. That evening I found Emily's note slipped under my bedroom door. I'm sorry I didn't notice sooner. 14 years old. Apologizing for adults. I sat on the edge of my bed and cried quietly, not for myself this time, but for what betrayal teaches children when no one names it. One rainy afternoon in early March, movers carried designer chairs through the front hallway. Vanessa stood near the staircase with her arms folded tightly. Jason remained in the driveway, speaking into his phone. Nobody shouted. Nobody cried. That was the strange thing. After all the manipulation, hidden transactions, and polished explanations, the end arrived quietly. Vanessa moved into a condominium near Stamford, while attorneys sorted through her company records. Jason rented a furnished apartment closer to the city. He said everyone needed space. Space. Another careful word people use when families break apart politely. The first night I slept alone in the house again, I walked room to room after sunset, turning on lamps. Living room. Hallway. Kitchen. Warm light returned to corners that had felt cold for years. I opened the cabinets. Half empty now. Vanessa's labeled containers were gone. I stood there longer than I expected. Then I moved my old coffee mugs back to the lower shelf. The next morning I searched the basement. I found the Cape Cod photograph wrapped in packing paper inside a storage bin beneath artificial garlands and in used candle holders. The frame was scratched at the corners. But Harold's smile looked exactly the same. Steady. Safe. Certain. I rehung it beside the staircase. For several minutes I simply stood there. Then I said aloud, "You're home." Outside, winter began loosening its grip on Connecticut. Small green shoots pushed through the flower beds Harold built. Some afternoons I sat on the back porch wrapped in blankets, listening to birds return to the trees. Other days I sorted paperwork with Margaret while drinking coffee from the chipped blue mug Vanessa once called outdated. Jason visited occasionally. He looked older each time. One afternoon, he stood awkwardly near the kitchen doorway. "I should have stopped it sooner," he whispered. I believed him. But belief does not undo betrayal. I watered the basil plant near the window. "Yes," I said. "You should have." His eyes filled. "I don't know how to make this right." "You may not be able to." That was the truth. Some damage can be acknowledged but not repaired. He nodded. For once he did not argue. Before leaving, he placed his house key on the kitchen table. The sound was small. Metal against wood. But I felt it in my chest. A son giving back access he had forgotten was a privilege. By spring the house sounded like itself again. No monitored mail.
No rearranged cabinets.
No polite warnings about what was wise. No one calling my questions emotional. The legal process continued slowly and carefully. Some money was recovered. Some was still disputed. Vanessa's company records became part of an investigation. Jason agreed to repay what he had personally benefited from. But the truth is, none of that healed the deepest wound. Because this story was never really about money. It was about waking up at 68 and realizing the family you fed, defended, forgave, and protected had begun measuring you by what could be managed out of you. It was about being treated like a problem in the home you built. It was about grief being used as a door someone else could walk through. One evening near the beginning of April, Emily came over after school. She helped me plant basil and parsley in the raised beds. She wore one of Harold's old flannel shirts over her hoodie, the sleeves rolled 3 times. "Grandpa made these?" she asked. "With his own hands." She ran her fingers over the wood. "Mom said he was old-fashioned." "He was," I said. "In some good ways." Emily smiled faintly. Then she looked at me. "Are you ever going to forgive Dad?" I pressed soil around a small basil plant. "I don't know." She nodded. I appreciated that she did not ask about her mother. Some questions were too heavy for a spring afternoon. Forgiveness, I said after a while, is not the same as pretending. Emily thought about that. I think adults mix those up. Yes, I said. They do. That evening after she left, I sat alone at the kitchen table watching golden sunset spill across the hardwood floors Harold installed decades earlier. The house was quiet. Honest quiet. The kind that does not hide anything. I looked around the kitchen we built together when we were younger and hopeful, and certain we would grow old side by side. Harold once promised nobody would ever make me feel unwelcome here. For a while I thought he had been wrong. But sitting there in the warmth of my own home, with my old mug in my hands and his photograph back on the wall, I realized something important. They had charged me rent for living in this house. In the end, it cost them far more than money ever could. Cost them trust. It cost them the version of me who would have kept excusing everything. It cost them easy access to my kindness. And it gave me back something I thought grief had taken forever. My own voice. My own rooms. My own name on my own life. So no, I did not win in the loud way people expect. There was no dramatic revenge. No perfect apology. No family dinner where everyone cried and became better overnight. There was only truth. Slow. Painful. Necessary. And sometimes when you are an old woman people have mistaken for weak, truth is enough. Because dignity does not always return with applause. Sometimes it returns quietly. In the morning. When you reach for your favorite coffee mug on the lower shelf. And it is exactly where you left it.